New rules are entering the crypto space every single day. Yesterday, we talked about collateralized crypto mortgages. And then today, we're seeing retail options for crypto lending on Coinbase. We're going to cover that in a second. But we also have word from Brad Garlinghouse himself in regards to the Clarity Act. So good morning to everyone. We have a lot to cover today. Make sure if you are not subscribed to hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Keep the chat rolling because that's what helps grow the stream. And we will do our live Q&A at the end of the stream. So news today, we have news on the Clarity Act. We have some interesting price activity going on. There's again, constant rumors of recession versus boom. Which one are we looking at? Constantly battling the polar opposites of the media, unfortunately, is what we have to do because at any given day, you can find an argument for an opposite end of the spectrum. What are we really dealing with? Well, it lies somewhere in the middle usually, but everyone wants to hear from Brad. That's usually what people want to see. I wanted to give it a few minutes for the stream to get warmed up and get everyone in here before we hear from Brad, though. So let's hop in real quick. We're going to take a quick look at price and a quick look at what Coinbase had to say. And then we're going to hear what Brad has to say on Clarity Act. And we're going to jump into what to expect from the Clarity Act over the next few weeks, because this is a topic that's really heating up. And honestly, price is really going to depend on it as far as sentiment goes, not as far as utility ramping up real quickly, which we have utility information as well. So let's take a look and see what we're dealing with in regards to price. Let me get out of futures because we're not trading futures today, folks. Not a good setup today. So right now, Bitcoin is down slightly for the day. It's down about 1%. And again, XRP had a little bit of a sell-off last night. Again, if you're new to the stream, we are here for XRP, Canton Network, Chainlink, Ondo, and HBAR. Those are my 5 core pillars that I invest in every single month. Those are the cryptos I believe in. So XRP has fallen down to $1.39 with Bitcoin's fall to 66K. Everything's down a little bit today. I mean, the entire market is bleeding. Even my beloved Canton is down 7% today. I'm probably going to make, if it falls down to the 14-cent range, I'm going to make another purchase on it. But again, that's just me. It's just what I'm doing in my life, not financial advice. And again, I have to say it at least once in every stream. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. You need to do your own research. I'll be the first person to tell you, do your own research every single time. So let's see what's going on with Coinbase, and then we're going to hop in to what Brad has to say about the Clarity Act and what Brian Armstrong has to say about the Clarity Act. We have a little bit of information from him as well. So Coinbase expands its U.S. crypto lending to XRP, Doge, Cardano, and Litecoin. The update brings 4 widely held tokens to Coinbase's growing on-chain lending program. And it doesn't really have much in here. But basically, you can now borrow against your XRP, Doge, Cardano, or Litecoin now on Coinbase, just like you could with Bitcoin and Ethereum. But really, let's talk about what's happening with Clarity. Let's hear from Brad and what Brad has to say today. There we go.
Welcome back. U.S. lawmakers ramping up efforts to advance the stalled Clarity Act aimed at bringing regulatory certainty to crypto markets. The bill facing a Senate standoff over stablecoin reward rules, whether crypto players can pay rewards for customers moving money from traditional banks to the crypto platforms. The White House stepping in to broker a deal, setting a March 1st deadline to move the legislation forward before the midterms. Joining me now is the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, back with us. Brad, great to see you.
Great to see you.
Thank you so much for being here. So you predicted an 80% chance that this bill is signed by April, saying that clarity is better, and obviously then uncertainty. Tell us where you get that expectation.
Well, I mean, to some degree, you can never predict exactly how Senate and Congress are going to act. But
unless you're in the prediction markets.
That's we should talk about that, too.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
We got info on the prediction markets, too.
Around this point, around the Clarity Act, spiked because of some comments yesterday from Senator Moreno, who's been an advocate. I think it's now 90% it will pass by the end of April. I had said a couple weeks ago I thought end of April. At the time, people thought that was a little optimistic. There's a meeting today with a lot of leaders on both sides, the crypto crypto and banking in the White House. Actually, it's in 30 minutes or so. Ripple's chief legal officer is representing kind of Team Ripple there. But the White House is pushing hard on this, and I think that is a big reason why it will get done. It needs to get done for U.S. leadership. President Trump has been a clear leader and put the stake out there that we need the U.S. to be the crypto capital of the world. That's good for U.S. competitiveness, and that leadership from David Sachs and Patrick Witt in the White House have been really critical around this.
So what's the Ripple position in the meeting today?
Our position is very much don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. No bill that gets to Congress or gets through Congress, no bill's perfect. And I think that it got stalled because I think some in the industry were kind of pushing for something a little bit more perfect. Our view is we need clarity. Ripple has been fortunate, and we got sued by the U.S. government and had a federal judge say XRP is not a security. We have clarity.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
And
But
you
the
got that clarity in the Genius Act.
We did get, with the stablecoin market got that clarity in the Genius Act. But the industry, the crypto and blockchain industry in the United States needs the same clarity that Ripple had to fight for in the courts. And I think for this
that
industry,
XRP is a security.
XRP is not a security.
Okay.
And that's what the courts ruled very clearly. And so we were very happy to have that. But the whole industry can't live in limbo. And so our argument is the Clarity Act, it needs to get done for the industry to thrive here in the United States.
So how do the rules differ when you're overseen by the CFTC, since the CFTC will oversee non-securities and the SEC will be in charge of securities?
Correct. So if something's a security, you have all kinds of obligations because if you own part of a company, it's a security, then you get dividends, you get right, title, and interest to governance rules, who you elect to the board of directors. That's not true in the crypto industry. And that's, I think, the false narrative that the Biden administration, the war that the Biden administration waged on crypto, ultimately failed in the courts, and I think it failed the United States, failed the people of the United States. And I think trying to push it into a securities framework that was developed literally 80, almost 100 years ago, never made sense. And I think the courts have clarified that. And if we get the Clarity Act passed, I think the whole industry can continue to thrive here.
Very good. Meanwhile, we're talking about a pretty good sell-off in prices. Give us the impact on Ripple. I mean, when you see crypto like Bitcoin down, what, 50% from the highs, others down 40% from the highs, what's behind that and how has it impacted Ripple?
Well, look, I think one of the things is what we're talking about right now, the lack of clarity. And I think as the Clarity Act got pushed, stalled in late January, that certainly didn't help. Look, Ripple had a tremendous year in 2025, and we're starting 2026 in a really strong place because there's more interest from CFOs and treasurers and even boards of directors saying, hey, how could we be using these technologies to make our systems more efficient? Stablecoins, to me, are the starting line. That's where it starts. And it gives experimentation of, okay, now I can move my money 24/7. I can move it more inexpensively. And so stablecoins are the starting point, but blockchain and crypto infrastructure can really change payments broadly. We're seeing that from the Treasurer's office. We're seeing that around what we call prime brokerage services to provide liquidity. Ripple, partly through some acquisitions we did last year, is in a really strong spot as we start the year. To your point about the crypto markets, XRP actually has been the best performing major crypto this year. It's down about 20%. ETH, for example, is down about 33%. And I think the more we demonstrate real practical utility using these technologies to solve real problems, the more you're going to see that play out in a positive way.
Let's go back to the acquisitions that Ripple has made, spending, $3 billion on acquisitions since 2023. You've expanded into custody, prime brokerage, treasury management, stablecoin payments, also launching a new treasury platform. How do you continue to scale this up? You had the $1 billion treasury deal aimed at deepening institutional integration, Brad. Give us a sense of where the company goes next with all of these businesses now.
So Ripple has been very focused on how do we build bridges between what we've called traditional finance and decentralized finance, or crypto. And those bridges are kind of the core of where our products sit. What we found in buying a company in the treasury management services business, for example, G Treasury is the name of the company, now called Ripple Treasury, but they processed or orchestrated about $13 trillion of payments last year.
Wow.
0 of those payments were crypto enabled. 0 of those payments were stablecoin enabled. And again, what we're seeing, they have over 1,000 customers, corporates that are using their technologies. What we're seeing is those treasurers, those CFOs, even the CEOs are pushing. They want to see how these technologies can make their systems unlock capital that's been trapped overseas, for example. So we're seeing that push. And now we have a great suite of solutions to introduce crypto to those. But today, again, there's 0 overlap between the crypto solutions and what G Treasury had in the past. So it's bringing those together.
So are you expecting more acquisitions then in terms of scaling it further?
We bought two big companies last year. And so the first half of this year is very much on let's pause. Integrate. That takes some work. I was actually in Chicago yesterday where the G Treasury is headquartered. And, look, I'm incredibly excited by the direction of travel we're seeing.
Both of those acquisitions are
way ahead of our forecast when we bought them. So we're very happy with that. But for the time being, we're going to slow down for a minute before we speed up.
But you've seen, corporate America spend
slow down before we speed up.
Billions of dollars try to adapt to this new world that we're seeing. On a practical level,
they had the dream.
Of course, because we're watching something I have to deal with ads.
All they
My
needed
bad.
was each other.
There we go.
Tell us how things will change in financial services with regard to the digital asset story.
So Ripple's focus is very much on the corporate customer. And so I'll answer that less from the consumer point of view and more from the corporate, right? So if you're a treasurer and managing, a balance sheet that has hundreds of millions of dollars in 10 different bank accounts around the world in different currencies. Even Workday, for example, they hadn't hedged some of their foreign currencies and had a $700 million markdown because they hadn't hedged. And what really a big piece of Ripple's business now is that CFO dashboard. Give me visibility to all my liquidity, even if it's held in stablecoins, even if it's held in digital assets. Because as we've seen, more and more companies are saying, we want exposure to this asset class on our balance sheet. And so seeing that all in one place, being able to manage payments, being able to hedge risk, understanding liquidity, getting yield, because a lot of these, it's interesting, we see that portfolio and hundreds of billions of dollars are sitting dormant in, a 10 basis point yield account that could do much better.
What did you make of the Clarity Act getting stalled because partly you had the folks at Coinbase saying, look, we don't like the language here when it comes to the rewards. Is that the only or main sticking point here? What else needs to be done to get that legislation back on track?
So it is definitely the main sticking point. And I think you saw the vast majority of the crypto industry kind of leaning in and saying, hey, while this may not be perfect, this is a major step forward and we need that clarity. I do think the way I think about it as you back up, we need a level playing field for both sides. You've seen the CEO of Goldman Sachs, David Solomon, come out and kind of as an advocate for the Clarity Act because Goldman Sachs wants that same level playing field to compete with potentially crypto companies. I love that. That means the traditional financial industry is coming into the crypto industry more and more, and they want to make sure for them to compete, they have those clear rules of the road.
Very different than what you saw, for example, from JP Morgan a couple of years ago.
The tides have changed significantly. And yes, Jamie Dimon has gone from saying very negative things to saying some pretty constructive things. I think as you zoom out and look over the next 10 years, that's going to continue.
Wow, a real changing backdrop here for finance. Brad, great to have you this morning.
Great to see you.
Thank you so much, Brad Garlinghouse.
Whoo, there's a lot to unpack in that. Oh my goodness. We got more from Brad though. He didn't stop there. I've got more clips today from Brad. I got clips from Coinbase, Brian Armstrong. We have a lot of info to cover today, but one thing to unpack from this, I'm going to pull up XRP real quick while we're talking. One thing to unpack from this, 90% chance, according to not only Brad Garlinghouse, but prediction markets now spiking after Brian Armstrong's comments yesterday and Brad Garlinghouse's comments along with the White House support, spiking to 90% that it's going to be done by the end of April. So my conservative approach by before midterms is looking conservative, which is great. But from what it's looking like right now, White House meeting this morning between banks and stablecoin companies looks like we are getting some very good progress, at least on the structure of this, on the structure bill, the Clarity Act structure bill. So we are having progress. Another discussion was taking place at 9 o'clock this morning, and they want to get this pushed across the finish line. Brad thinks it's going to get done, but we have more information not to mention what they were just talking about as far as XRP building out. And again, they keep mentioning 5 to 10 years, which is something that we always talk about. But we have some more information. Remember, I talk about private credit being an issue. Today, Blue Owl Capital announced that it has permanently halted redemptions for Blue Owl Capital Corp. It's $1.7 billion private credit fund aimed at retail investors. This is not a small thing. Blue Owl Capital is a major alternative asset manager with $307 billion. If you guys watch the stream regularly, when I talk about private credit cracking, I mention Blue Owl a lot. They've lost over 50% of their valuation since July. So there are banks struggling right now, okay? It's all across the board, okay? C8 Wallet, Cantor 8 doing great things for Canton. It is now built with the USDCX swap, so you can now bring USDC onto the Canton Network. And Canton Network is just growing rapidly. I mean, the network, I literally, I get hit with it every single day. It's just tweet after tweet after tweet about this person coming on Canton or that person coming on Canton. I even put a tweet out yesterday or the day before yesterday asking if anyone else is getting dominated by it or if it's just my feed because I'm researching it. We'll see. Am I in my bookmarks? No, I'm not in my bookmarks. That's why it's taking forever. This was funny. This is another clip from Brad. You guys should definitely watch this. Make sure you listen.
You also have a conditional charter from the OCC on the bank side. Would you buy a bank? Or would you team up with a bank in a way, because you have 4,200 in the country.
Look at that face.
10 of them own the deposits, over half. Would you take on a bank as a partner only to get a lot of their internal infrastructure, which is antiquated, and tie yours to it? Or do you want to just partner with many moving forward and see where that shakes out?
I'm going to dodge part of your question. I'll answer some.
I figured you would.
Okay, so Ripple took a contrarian and controversial strategy approach to how we went to market early on, and that made us unpopular in crypto. Early on, Ripple said, banks are our customers. If we want these technologies to have the biggest impact on the largest number of people, banks are where the touch point for people in their financial services relationships. I think the earliest days of crypto, and I will say in advance, I think this has changed, evolved a little bit, but not entirely. The earliest days of crypto was a very anti-bank, anti-government, let's build a parallel universe. Ripple always took the point of view that we're going to be a bridge between what we would now call TradFi or traditional finance and DeFi, decentralized finance. We've always been trying to build bridges between those two because we think we can bring these technologies to traditional finance in a way that they then can scale and provide cheaper, better, stronger, faster services to their customers. So yeah, I mean, today banks are our customers. We have lots of financial institutions around the world, payment providers, everybody from HSBC and SocGen all the way down to, smaller players you've never heard of doing payment processing between the Philippines and Singapore. We do have a conditional OCC charter, which is really for almost belt and suspenders regulatory oversight for our stablecoin business. We launched a stablecoin business 13 months ago. It stands at about number 5 of the largest stablecoins now, which we're in just over a year, we're very proud of. But we went kind of the extra step of having regulatory oversight, both through the New York Department of Financial Services, the trust license. Then we also went and applied for an OCC charter, which we now have conditional approval on. We think that uniquely positions us as, almost over-regulated, but we want that. Because we work with institutions, we want them to look at us as going above and beyond to make sure there is that level of oversight, so there's no questions about, is the stablecoin backed one-to-one? Is it the attestations on a regular basis about those backings? So we think that's important if we want stablecoins to impact in a positive way, corporates, banks, what have you. And I'm going to skip the question, will we ever buy a bank? They're our customers.
Yeah, we're going to skip the question, are they ever going to buy a bank? I have a feeling as soon as they get their bank charter, look for an acquisition. So that way they have everything already there, ready to go. They're not playing around. And they said in the previous interview, he said that the beginning of 2026 is going to be slow, and then they were going to speed up again. And you couple that with what he's talking about, that I fully see Ripple acquiring a bank by the end of this year. And that's I'm calling my shot on that right now. I think Ripple will buy a bank by the end of 2026. We'll see if I'm right on that. That's my speculative tinfoil hat for today. We'll see if that comes to pass. We talked about Blue Owl Capital. We talked to, this is another one. Societe Generale has expanded its Euro stable coin convertible to the XRP ledger. This is the second announcement of a European stable coin going to the XRP ledger this week. The second one. Again, more different things on ledger means more different things to bridge between. All right, so we already talked about that. Here it goes. Did you know that 10 years ago, CME Group invested in Digital Asset Holdings, the company behind Canton Network? Back in 2016, thought it was a venture capital arm, CME Venture, along with the DTCC. Now 2026, 24/7 trading is coming and coming fast. So they've been partnered for a long time with some major backing, but it was just all behind the scenes and no one was talking about it. Let's see here. I am 100% supportive of the tokenomics changes proposed by Aptos Foundation. So again, following up on the Canton Network. I love my Canton Network. Canton. Go Canton. And the Canton Strategic Holdings is now live, formerly Theramune. So they have their own DAT treasury company live on the New York Stock Exchange as well. All right, that's all the bookmarks for today, I believe. Let me see. Or was that just all Canton? No, that's all the bookmarks for today. Perfect. Oh, here was the Clarity Act. So 90% chance on prediction markets on Polymarket, up 25%. So 90% chance of the Clarity Act being signed into law in 2026, according to this. Not necessarily by April, but this year, this says. Brad saying 80% by April. He did quote 90%, but that's for the year. Now, I had some information. We had the meeting this morning we already talked about. Canton Network is partnering with Canton, world's first automatic financial operating system. Coinbase we talked about with XRP, Doge, ADA, and Litecoin now being able to get margin against those. Here we go. This was what I wanted to show you guys that came out yesterday that spiked the prediction markets in regards to this.
What is the status of the market structure regulation that you famously blocked from passing a few weeks ago?
Yeah, well, we're here meeting with crypto companies, bank representatives, and senators as well to see if we can get to a solution on market structure. And one of the big issues that did come up in the past was this idea of stablecoins on rewards. I wouldn't say we blocked it. In fact, nobody, I think, in the crypto space has been working harder on this over the last few years to try to get some legislation. What we did say was the current draft, we had some issues with it. I think that caused everyone to come back to the table. And there's now a path forward where we can get a win-win-win outcome here. A win for the crypto industry, a win for the banks, and a win for the American consumer to get
He's singing
President
a very
Trump's
different
crypto
tune
agenda through to the finish line so we can make America the crypto capital of the world.
Were you surprised? What was your reaction when he after he's obviously been so involved in this and was so deep on it and then came out against the version of the bill? How did you react to that?
Well, look, I had concerns about the bill, still have some concerns about the bill. We weren't done. We got hung up on the issue of rewards on stablecoins, which is really, in my mind, really shouldn't be part of this equation.
Wait, can we just explain this? Like why people should care about this? What the whole yield rewards on stablecoins thing is about?
Well, unless you own a bank, you probably shouldn't care. Because if you're an American consumer, what it means is that the cash that you hold, you're going to have competition to pay you more interest. So you're going to be able to get more money for the money that you have in your wallet or the money that you have in some sort of account. So this is very, very good for working Americans because ultimately this is about giving Americans more rewards for being able to have cash on reserve, be able to get paid quicker, be able to transact faster, democratize the financial systems. But we're going to get this bill across the finish line. But I would say
when?
Hopefully by April. Hopefully by April.
So Senator says hopefully by April. And I think it's funny that the senator says, unless you're a bank, you shouldn't care.
Regulation that
I think it's funny that the senator says, unless you're a bank, you shouldn't care about stable coin yield. And then it ultimately turns right back into talking about how it's good for the consumer. It's about more money in their pocket. Yeah, the banks are fighting freaking against it. What the hell are you talking about? The banks are trying to keep stablecoin yield out of it. They don't want us to get that yield. They don't want people to leave the banks and go to crypto companies and get more yield than a traditional savings account or checking account. So yeah, some of the wording they use in this stuff is completely ridiculous when they go to dodge questions and stuff like that. But he's trying, yeah. What's the argument here? Why are we hung up on this? I don't know why we're hung up on it. Unless you're a bank, it doesn't really matter. Bull crap. Unless you're a bank, yeah, banks are going to lose a butt ton of money and they're afraid of it. That's exactly what that is. New USD margin pair for Canton Network on Kraken, which is pretty cool. CoinDesk just in, 100 million FXRP are now minted on Flare networks, meaning 100 million XRP are now generating yield. We had some information from the CEO of Evernorth. I don't even try to pronounce his name, but here you go.
Institutional DeFi is finally ready for prime time. Hi, I'm Ashish Burla. I am the CEO of Evernorth. I've been building in the XRP ecosystem for the last decade, and I've been waiting for the moment where institutions are ready to adopt blockchain. I think of the on-chain economy as bringing traditional finance to the blockchain. So that can be lending markets, that could be payments, that could be trading equities. But bringing them on-chain makes them more efficient, better liquidity, less friction, and more global access. And what Evernorth does is it makes it easy for institutions to bring capital to the entire XRP ecosystem. Evernorth is an XRP digital asset treasury. We're the largest digital asset treasury for XRP out there. We will take the XRP that's in the digital asset treasury and we will deploy it into yield-bearing instruments. So it has an added benefit of helping to grow the XRP DeFi ecosystem. So we want to see more DeFi players come to the XRP ledger, and we'll help by deploying the capital that we have in the treasury into those DeFi products and generate yield. What makes Evernorth unique is that we are going to be active stewards of the XRP ecosystem. And that can be anything from running a validator to helping the DeFi protocols flourish by bringing institutional capital to those protocols. We're going to be actively out there bringing new partners to XRP. We're going to be actively helping them develop their products by bringing institutional capital to those protocols. And we'll be developing specs on the XRP ledger for new kinds of protocols that we want to see flourish to help kickstart the DeFi ecosystem. We're excited about a number of different aspects to DeFi in the XRP ecosystem. Anything that gets users of XRP, institutions, and companies like Evernorth doing more on protocol with their XRP makes a lot of sense. And that could be anything from staking to participating and earning yield off of a DeFi protocol. I've been waiting for this moment around XRP. A lot of different things are aligning that make this a perfect time for launching a product like Evernorth. Number one, there's regulatory clarity around XRP. Number two, the DeFi ecosystem is starting to build around XRP. And then third, with Evernorth, institutional capital is ready to come and bridge into that DeFi ecosystem.
The DeFi ecosystem is growing massively on XRP. Think about the things that just literally went live in the last week with the DEX, with the native lending, right? They have a ton of stuff going live on XRP DeFi. Monica Long herself announced at the XRP Community Day that 2026 is going to be the year of institutional adoption at scale. We see Brad Garlinghouse and Brian Armstrong and U.S. senators all optimistic about the Clarity Act being done by the end of April. I think worst case scenario, we're looking at before midterms, but it does look like it is going to get done this year, but it's not across the finish line yet. We have to wait. Now, again, that's just going to open the door to more utility. We follow utility. We follow actually what happens on Ledger, because until utility separates itself from speculation, everything follows Bitcoin. That's why we still follow the price of Bitcoin every single day, even though I don't own any of it. Now, I do trade it in futures from time to time if I feel like taking a profit or see a trade that I want to take a profit, but this channel is holistically about the long view. It's about what price is going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, not 5, 10 weeks from now. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, I see you all coming in. Keep the chat rolling. I'm almost to the chat, almost to the Q&A. I appreciate everyone taking their time to be here today. Appreciate everyone engaging, liking, and helping grow the stream to get the non-hype content out there to more people so more people can learn about what's actually happening with Canton Network, because it's not talked about. No one talks about CC. So people can understand what the real utility that's taking place on the XRP ledger, because no one talks about account set activity. We've been tracing this. We've been spotting this for months, predicting that this was going to be turning on soon. And now we're seeing the DEX, and now we're seeing the privacy, and now we're seeing all these things come online, and finally transactions are starting to climb. We're already at 1.2 million today at noon. I think we might actually start going back up over 2 million again, on to 3 million, on to 4 million, as these DEX and DeFi instruments continue to ramp up. Evernorth's in play now. I mean, the amount of utility, adoption, and scaling that's already taking place in 2026, and we're, what, 6 weeks in? But that amount of scaling is more than what's happened in the last decade of institutional use, right? With the okay, let me scale that back. How about in the last 9 months, right? Since the Genius Act, okay? And again, that's been mainly circulated around stablecoin activity, right? And stablecoin products. But since the Genius Act, think about the rate of adoption that's ramped up in that last 8 months. It's definitely more that's been in the entire crypto market over the last decade, over the last 15 years. And that's not even touching crypto. That's just stablecoins. So once we get the Clarity Act in place and we can finally see what these institutions are going to do with these blockchains with some regulation and with some clarity, that's when we're really going to see things start to ramp up. And that's when we might see some like hardcore appreciation and things start moving at scale, because we're still in the infancy stages of this right now. Let's take a look at the chat though. I want to talk to everyone. Keep the chat rolling. I appreciate everyone being here today. If you're new, let me know where you're from. I want to see the new people. It's kind of a quiet chat today, it looks like. Not many people talking. Raul said good morning. He was here today. Charles was first in line, though. He got here first with his 2 cups of coffee. Resident B in the house. Gunpowder in the house today. We had some mainstream time for XRP and Brad Garlinghouse. Absolutely. Let the XRPL floodgates open. I agree. We're due for some good appreciation. We've paid our dues. Ket's app in the house. I appreciate you, Kets. Thank you for being here today. Yeah, dodging the question just so he doesn't have to say, yes, we're buying banks. Yeah, I'm pretty confident. Again, if you missed it or you came in late, I'll do a recap for anyone who came in late. But I'm pretty confident that they're going to buy a bank by the end of the year. Just based on those 2 interviews, I'm pretty confident in that. If the U.S. strikes Iran this weekend, gold might gap above 5K, but I wonder if Bitcoin dumps as a risk-off asset or does it rally as a digital safe haven? Well, Charles, what do I always say? Let's use common sense, okay? First, we use common sense, we use logic, we use numbers, things we can look at as proof to come up with these decisions. And again, this is just my opinion. If the U.S. strikes Iran this weekend, that's going to create an unparamount amount of uncertainty, right, in the markets. What do the markets hate more than anything else? What do they hate more than bad news? Uncertainty. So yeah, if gold will gap up because that's where people will run to in periods of uncertainty. When we look at what's happened since October, and I know you've been here with me before, so I'll just touch on it. When we look at what's happening in October with software companies down 20 to 30%, with AI companies down about 20%, with some private credit companies down 50%, with most cryptos down 50%, and with gold and silver running to all-time highs during the time because of tariffs and because of world economic uncertainty, when uncertainty in world global economic uncertainty is at its highest point, is when gold and silver peaked their highest points. So the more uncertainty there is, the more rotation out of risk-off assets. So if we strike Iran, I don't think that's good for crypto. I don't think it's good for our stock market as a whole. Markets hate uncertainty. That's just my opinion. But yeah, classic doublespeak for sure. Holy guacamole, Batman. Canton Network is mega exciting. Did my research and I am in. Good for you. And welcome Gen X4 XRP. And again, if you guys are all new, anyone who's new, let me know in the chat. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Share it out far and wide so we can grow this sucker. But yeah, Canton is extremely exciting. I literally talk about it probably just as much as XRP on the channel. Right now, my bag is still weighted XRP, Canton, HBAR, Chainlink, Ondo in that order. But it's definitely a strong number 2. What's going on, AC? Welcome to the stream, sir. Appreciate you taking the time to be here today. Deutsche Bank is integrating with Ripple blockchain now. It seems like XRP will be leading the pack when it comes to global payments. Yeah, we covered that a little bit earlier. I saw that one on X. We touched on that as well. But yeah, Deutsche Bank is now integrating with the Ripple blockchain. And we have 2 new European stablecoins on XRPL this week. I mean, the amount of adoption is really ramping up. Coinbase earns almost half its revenue from USDC reserve interest. Exactly. That's what I said. When we're looking at these things, we have to peek behind the curtain because they're all going to do what's in their own best interest. When we were talking about Coinbase and Coinbase was taking that stance that they were standing up for the little guy, that they were standing up for the retail crypto investor, I called it. I said, BS. The only thing they care about is their bottom line because the bulk of their business centers around stablecoins. Period. End of story. Nicholas Wood in the house from Indiana. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you taking time to be here. I've driven through Indiana a couple times. Which part? Whereabouts in Indiana? I worked in freight, so I know pretty much like almost every town in every state because I worked in freight for 10 years. Quelly's in the house just hiding out quiet. That's all good. Sir Charles asked, if yield gets banned, Coinbase's business model takes a massive hit. Yes. Yes, it does. M. Kazmirov. Sup? What's going on? You're MK from now on. MK. Quelly had a question. There was something about January 15th or February 15th, can't remember, that was supposed to severely affect DAT companies. Do you know if that passed and what are the consequences? They were talking about a potential DAT reclassification. It did not pass. It's now rolled into the market structure bill. So what it is there's going to be specific rules on how much or how high of a percentage a company can hold without having to be classified as a fund. And I believe it's 22% as it's written right now. So anyone who holds, more than 22% of a token has to be classified as a fund. So therefore, if, we'll use XRP, for example, because Ripple owns more than 22% of XRP. If it goes through as is, then they're going to have to move some of that. Someone else is going to have to be in charge of it. That's too much power. Do you think the price of XRP will always appreciate to keep up with inflation? Once we get to a price where it's, how do I put it? Once we get to an operable price, right? The price will go up and down based on its utility. Now, if the utility stays consistent, right? I'm just going to use round numbers, not saying this is going to be the price of XRP, but just for the example of explaining it. So say XRP appreciates to $100 and that's a good level and it's able to maintain its utility at that level. If nothing else changes from that point, eventually XRP will start to appreciate because it's deflationary. Remember all the burn fees. Now I say all the burn fees, it's a very small amount. It's going to take years and years, decades even, for the burn rates to even matter to us. But as more, because there's only 100 billion, once all 100 billion are released, there's no more escrow, everything's out in circulation. And then once banks are, once a level of utility is maintained, it'll start to burn from there. So it is a deflationary asset at its core, but it's that deflationary part of it's not really going to kick into effect for decades. So will it always appreciate? No, it depends on the utility. If it gets to $100 and all of a sudden everyone starts using something else other than XRP Ledger and accounts start going somewhere else, the price will start to fall. But it's not looking like that's how it's going to be. But again, that's my opinion. Yeah, February 18th, XLS something or other went live for institutional customers of Ripple. Well, yesterday, the new permission, the new DEX went live for institutional customers yesterday. And then the privacy feature went live like 2 days before that. Oh, I know exactly where that is. Anderson, Indiana? Okay. I know exactly where that is. I did a lot of shipments out of, oh God, what was it called? Now I'm drawing a blank. There's a paper company up there in Indiana. Gosh. Starts with an H maybe? I can't remember now. But I did a lot of there out of Indiana. Are we going lower? If Bitcoin goes lower, yes. And right now Bitcoin's looking kind of weak. I can do a quick technical analysis on Bitcoin and see where we're at. But I mean, it's all going to be if we strike Iran this weekend, everything's going lower except for gold or maybe oil. But right now with the geopolitical uncertainty, with a potential, conflict on the horizon, yeah, everything's fair game to go lower if we strike Iran this weekend. It's a bad part of Indiana. No money. Everyone is broke. Homeless is very bad. Yeah, the Anderson, Indiana area. I'm trying to think of what the paper place I used to do out of there. It's not Carlisle, Indiana. No, I can't remember. I'll think of it later. Dalio says we're on the brink of a capital war. Everyone's fighting over control over the economy. China's seeing us weak, and they're trying to take control. Because he who controls the money, right? He who has the money makes the rules, the golden rule. And the U.S. has been in charge of the money since after World War I, or after World War II, for that matter. It's too bad we always have to keep looking to see what Bitcoin is doing. Right? Until we don't. We have to look until we don't. What if Ripple puts the excess XRP into a trust and burns the rest? Then that's going to decrease the supply and that will appreciate the price. Honestly, that could be probably the smartest thing Ripple could do. If they want to prove that they're trying to do what's in the best interest of actually XRP and the XRP army and the XRP holders, if it comes out that they can't hold more than 22%, then they should sell some to their partners, because they're going to. I mean, we have to be honest, they're not going to get out of it without taking any money. I'm a realist. So they'll sell some to their partners, and then they should burn the rest. Because all it's going to do is appreciate the price of all of it, and then, or they'll probably burn it and then sell the rest to their partners so they get more money out of it. But if they were to burn it, it would appreciate the price. And that would also, if they were to burn it, that would decrease the escrow, or they're talking about doing away with the escrow. There's all kinds of rumors on how they're going to handle it. That's why we really don't know all that much until, clarity actually comes out. The only hardware wallet that holds CC is CypherRock X1. I watched your video from the other day. Yeah, I know. And I actually was doing some research yesterday. I have to check, but I believe Ledger and Tangem may have added CC support. I have to look into it. That's what AI told me. I haven't confirmed it, but I mean, Gemini said that when we were looking into it yesterday. I wanted to, because I have Tangem as well. So if it works on Tangem, I'll throw it on my, well, actually, tell you the truth, I'll probably still leave it in institutional custody. I feel safe and secure with institutional custody. That's just me. So I'll probably leave my CC there. But unless there, I know there's wallets coming out to where you can stake your CC and earn more CC. Not on Tangem yet, Quelly? Okay. That's why AI can be so weird sometimes when we're doing quick research live in the stream. So I'm trying to be kind of careful with it. They show the info, but it's not supported. Okay, that's why. But yeah, so I mean, once I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up on Tangem soon, since Tangem has their own DEX. But that's the unfortunate thing with crypto is, or with Canton Network, is that you're going to have to custody it with the exchange or with institutional custody, unless you have one of the very select hardware wallets that's there right now. But there will be more later. They're building stuff out. We're already starting to see apps where you can stake your Canton that are being built on Canton Network. So I think there's going to be a lot more stuff built out for it in the future. Again, it's just now kind of breaking onto the scene. A lot of people still don't know what it is. If only 1% of people know about XRP, then maybe 0.1% of people know about Canton Network. Truthfully. You guys have been great. I don't know even how many people are in the stream, but the conversation's been great in the chat. You guys have been awesome today. We've had some really good info. Let me see how many people are in the stream. 31 people in the stream today. We got up to 34. You guys have any other questions before I call it? I usually try to go for about an hour before I actually call the stream to make sure everyone has their chance to jump in and communicate. Is the domino theory still in effect? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure the domino theory has been disproven at this point. So, I mean, Jake's still making claims out there. I don't know what claims he's making today. I haven't been watching. And again, I would love to be wrong. I would love for him to be right, but I'm not expecting for it to happen. But I'm pretty sure at this point, the domino theory has been debunked. I have like 1,600 XRP. What are my options as far as institutional custody? Well, as far as what I use, I have a Caleb and Brown account, and your account is free cold storage institutional custody. Now, the only downfall about Caleb and Brown is the minimum transaction is $500. They won't do transactions more than that because it's a white glove service. You actually use a broker. And yeah, it's a closed meeting at the White House. They don't have live coverage. I'm sure we'll get some information this afternoon. But I do know a lot of people use institutional custody through iTrust Capital. I don't know anything about that. I do know some people go and pay for institutional custody. Caleb and Brown uses Fireblocks, which is the same company that partnered with Canton Network for institutional custody, so I trust it. So with Caleb and Brown, you don't have to pay anything to move your stuff over there. You can, once you have an account, you can send your XRP straight to your wallet on Caleb and Brown, and it's now in institutional custody. What benefits do you get from Caleb and Brown? There's no spreads. There's one flat fee. It's 3.5%. So whatever price you put in your order is the price you're going to get, either sell or buy, minus the 3.5%. So you don't have to worry about spreads and stuff like that. But you get the free institutional custody. You get your own personal broker that you can communicate with. You can call them. You actually have a phone number, someone you can pick up the phone and call. There's no restrictions on transfers, right? So you don't have to worry about having, like, if you wanted to say you have 1,600 XRP. This is a great way to put it. Say you have 1,600 XRP and you have it in a cold storage wallet, and you wanna off ramp it. Say XRP appreciates to $1,000, right? So now you had 1,600, it went to 1,000, so that's what, 1.6 million. So now you have 1.6 million, or whatever it is, 16 million. Binance isn't going to let you offload all that. Robinhood's not going to let you offload all that, right? But there's no restrictions on Caleb and Brown because they source their own liquidity and they actually use XRPL. So not only are there no restrictions on how much you can pull off, but at the same time, you'll have your money in a day, not in a week, if you decide to withdraw it. Now, your bank might put a hold on it and check the validity of it, but it's going to clear immediately because it's on the XRPL. But that's me. So that's why I use that. Mainly, I like to have an account just so I can offload stuff or onboard stuff without limits, later on. Whales just bought $4 billion in BTC this week, but if Iran gets hit this weekend, those same whales are instantly underwater. Yes, you're absolutely correct, Sir Charles. If those whales get hit, they're going to be underwater. But usually, like a lot of times, those whales know something. Sometimes they know ahead of time if we're going to be in Iran or not. That's why I always say follow the money. The money happens to know where to go most of the time. If it doesn't smell right, it's because it's usually bad. See what we're doing with price right now. We'll look at price for a little bit. We still got 10 minutes. Keep the chat rolling. XRP is at $1.41. What's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin's now, oh, it's getting there. I'm waiting for this to get to overbought, and I'm going to short it. Not financial advice. What time is it? 12:50. I'll be right back. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right back. Don't leave the stream, folks. And I'm back. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, if there are any ladies here. I think Quelly is a lady. I could be wrong on that. That name, I'm sorry if you're not, for some reason, Quelly seems like a feminine name to me. So if I'm wrong about that, Quelly, I'm sorry. Yes, Caleb and Brown do have an app. There's a link in the description for you. The only thing I'll ask is if you do use them, use the link. It helps me out. It helps out the channel. Oh, you already have an account with them? Oh, no. Clint's got one. Okay. Clint's already got an account with them. He's got one on his phone. Ah, see, I was right about that. Perfect. For some reason, I'm pretty good about that stuff. Just even with typing, looking at how people type and how people talk and stuff like that, I'm pretty good at determining that stuff. Gets me in trouble sometimes, though. People don't like it when I assume genders. This world we live in today, man, I swear. Kelly. Okay. Kelly. Well, you put Q-U-E, I mean, that's a que. That's not a ka, that's a que, where I come from. Q-U-E is que. Let's see. Keep the chat rolling, guys. We'll just have a fun little XRP hangout for a little bit. I think there's only like 30 people in the stream or so. It's in Spanish. Oh, okay. It's in Spanish, yes. I never took Spanish. I took French. I took 4 years of French in high school because I thought I could be charming. And I remember like almost none of it. But I thought being able to speak French would be sexy. You can never be too sure these days. You know, it's funny. I'm actually, I mean, I'm not happy about like the way our world is right now by any means. But I've gotten to the point now that cancel culture is kind of over. Even during cancel culture, like I hated going to work because I had to keep my mouth shut. I am the most unpolitically correct person you're ever gonna meet. But at the same time, I love everybody. But I can't, if I think something's stupid, I call it out as stupid. I don't care if it offends somebody or hurts their feelings or any of that crap. So I will bluntly say how I feel about a topic regardless of the politically correctness of it, and it got me in a lot of trouble for a few years there when cancel culture was at its absolute highest. But nowadays, I feel like I can get away with saying whatever I think and feel again, which is nice. Whatever happened to that, we had to worry about freedom of speech. I miss the days where if someone ran their mouth or someone was, like, we need to bring it back to where you can punch somebody in the face for running their mouth. I think that'll handle a lot of the politically correct issues that we have in this world. What? You're offended? Cool, do something about it. Someone else will do something about it. And guess what? That person will stop being freaking offensive if they get their jaw broken a couple times for running their mouth. I'll never forget, it had to have been 10 years ago. I was at a bar and someone was running their mouth and he's like, touch me. I was in the military. He said something. He was hitting on my wife or something. Like he pissed me off. And then he started running his mouth because he knew I wasn't going to do anything because I was in the military. He knew I was in the military. So if I started a fight, I was going to get in trouble. And he's just sitting there running his mouth. And the bartender looked at me and said, he threw the first punch. I saw it. And the guy turned around and said, what? That was all I needed. And it was freaking game over. Of course, I got called in the master sergeant's office, and I said, he threw the first punch. I was defending myself. And it's always, the bartender was standing right there. You can ask him. He called the bar up right in front of me. Clean as a whistle. I didn't get in any trouble. It was great. But yeah, that was probably the last real fight I was ever in was 10 years ago. And that was because I had someone who was going to have my back for me. Because a lot of times people won't start fights. They'll just sit there and chirp forever. I hate it. But yeah, I can't remember his name though. I used to go to that bar a lot though, because it was close to my apartment. Back in the good old days when I was, 23, 24 years old, had an apartment off base right next to like a Buffalo Wild Wings and the mall and all that crap. Oh, it was great. It was great being a 20-year-old kid back then. Except I was married. If I could go back again, I love my daughter, so obviously you can't change things. But if I could go back again, I wouldn't have got married at 22. I would not have gotten married that young by any means. That is too young to be wed. I'm out. Have a good day. Got to work. Take it easy, Nicholas. I'm about to end the stream anyway here in a couple minutes. I was just waiting for it to get to an hour. We're down to 20 people. We usually wind down. And for those of you who for those of you who don't know, because all of you are my regulars in here, which is great for the most part. I usually get like 1 or 2 new subscribers every stream. So we got some new people coming in. It's not growing quite as fast as it was, but we're still growing, which is always good. But when the streams go, for whatever reason, the way YouTube is, it's not necessarily the streams, but if a video goes over an hour long, they put it into a special category, gives it an opportunity to get more views. So instead of ending my streams at 50 minutes, I end them at an hour now. How can you invest in Canton? It's a private chain. You can purchase it from several different exchanges. I purchased mine through Caleb and Brown, but it's available on several different exchanges. Now, you cannot move it to a cold storage wallet. You actually have to keep it in custody, either with the exchange or institutional custody if you have a brokerage account. I use Caleb and Brown because I have free institutional custody with them. Links in the description for it. We were literally just talking about that. But they only have a very, very select couple actual hardware wallets that support Canton right now because it's still so early. But it hasn't even rolled out on Binance, Coinbase, or Robinhood yet. But you can get it from Uphold. You can get it from Kraken. You can get it from Caleb and Brown, which is the brokerage I use. Links in the description. You're welcome, Yeshua. Absolutely. Race fan just scrubbing. Appreciate you being here. I just answered that one for you, Mossy. Hopefully it's coming up in the... Are my chats coming up? This chat thing keeps messing up on me. I've had nothing but problems with it the last few days. There it goes. Now it's working. I just answered that one. You were married 3 times? Yeesh, Clint. My goodness, man. One and done. I'm done. One time, I learned my lesson. I don't have to be married to be in a long-term relationship. I ain't signing that paper ever again. Top 3 coming? I agree. I agree, Mr. Canton. Welcome to the channel. That is a new one for me. I haven't seen that name. Make sure you hit subscribe. Hit the like button. We cover Canton Network, XRP, HBAR, Chainlink, and Ondo every single day. Those are the ones that I invest in every single month, and we follow it for the long view. We're here for what crypto is going to be for the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, not what it is for the next week, 5 weeks, 10 weeks. And you actually guys just, for anyone who just popped in, you just caught the very end of the stream. We're about to get out of here, but we stream every single day at noon, Monday through Saturday, and we cover all of the news on those currencies as well as the Clarity Act. If you guys came in late, hop to the front and catch the video from Brad about the Clarity Act. I got clips from both Brad and Brian Armstrong in regards to the Clarity Act potentially, hopefully, maybe, possibly being done by the end of April. Wormhole, still Wormhole. It's still working. It's still bridging. We haven't had any new news on Wormhole yet, bridging, providing bridges for RLUSD to other blockchains. All right. That's going to be the stream for today. We're just over an hour, but I will be back to catch you guys all tomorrow at noon, as always. All right. I will see you guys then. For now, take it easy.